Okay, so welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. And wheat. Today, uh, we're looking at something kind of fascinating, I think, when it comes to this whole manifestation thing. We talk a lot about manifestation on this show,
Hmm.
and one of the things that kind of came up in the research that we were doing for today was this idea of detachment.
Right.
And how important that is.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems counterintuitive, right? You would think
Yeah.
that if you want something really bad, you would think that.
Yeah.
The more you focus on it and obsess over it, the more likely it is to
Exact.
come to you.
Yeah.
But the source material is saying, no, it's actually the opposite sometimes.
Absolutely.
Letting go can actually bring things closer.
Exactly. And
How does that work?
it's so interesting. I mean, this is something I've thought about a lot in my own life because it seems so counterintuitive.
Right.
Like you're saying, if I want something, shouldn't I be like laser focused on it?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I be visualizing it all the time? But actually what the source material is saying and what I've found to be true is that sometimes you get to a point where you almost have to surrender.
Yeah.
You have to let go of that tight grip. And there's this concept they talk about called the Sabbath State.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
The Sabbath State. So what exactly is that?
So, you're doing all the things right. You're visualizing, you're using affirmations, you're putting it out there.
Mm.
The Sabbath state is kind of like the point where those things almost feel redundant because you've so deeply imprinted it on your subconscious mind that it's almost like you've planted a seed and now you're just trusting it to grow.
It's so interesting that you use that analogy because that's exactly what it feels like, right?
Yes.
It's like, okay, I've done all the work, I've planted the seed, I've tended to the garden, and now it's like, I just need to let nature do its thing.
Exactly.
It's a surrender.
It's a surrender. It's a trust in the process, and that's where the magic really happens.
Yeah. So why does this work? Why is detachment so beneficial? Like, what is it about letting go that actually helps things manifest?
Well, the sources talk about a couple of reasons.
Okay.
And one is that it reduces resistance.
Okay.
When we are so attached to an outcome,
Yeah.
we're actually creating energetic blocks. We're almost like trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's like you're putting so much pressure on it
Yes, exactly.
that it can't come through naturally.
Exactly. You're blocking the flow.
Right.
Another reason is that it brings us back to the present moment.
Okay.
When we're so focused on the future, we're not actually present in our lives.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We're living in this fantasy world where we're constantly chasing something.
And we're not appreciating what we have right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And finally, it creates emotional balance.
Oh, okay. How so?
When we're attached, we're on this roller coaster of excitement and disappointment.
Yeah.
And that's exhausting.
Oh my God, it's so true.
It is so...
It's so draining.
It is.
So how do you stop doing that? Like, how do you stop being on that roller coaster of, I'm really excited about this, and then I'm not, and then I'm really excited, and then I'm not?
Well, that's where the detachment comes in.
Okay.
When you detach, you're not so emotionally invested in every little up and down.
Yeah.
You're more able to just observe things and go with the flow.
This reminds me of, when you lose your keys.
Oh, yeah.
And you're running around like a crazy person.
Yes.
Looking for them.
Yeah.
And you can't find them anywhere, and then you finally just give up and say, forget it, and then they magically appear.
Exactly. Like you surrender, and then it happens.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of how detachment can actually bring things closer.
It's interesting now. One thing that the source material kind of points out that I thought was interesting is that the excitement that we feel about a goal often fades as we get closer to achieving it.
Yes.
So does that mean that we're not supposed to be excited about things anymore? Or is it like...
No, it's not that you're not supposed to be excited. Yeah. It's more that the initial excitement often stems from the gap between where we are and where we want to be.
Right.
So as we align with our desires and that gap shrinks, the excitement naturally diminishes.
So it's not that you don't care anymore. It's that you've kind of vibrationally caught up to your goal.
Exactly.
So if I'm not like obsessing over my vision board every day, does that mean that I'm not doing it right, or that it's not working?
No, not at all.
Okay.
That could actually be a sign of progress.
Okay.
It means that you're aligning more and more with your desire.
That makes sense.
And that the gap is shrinking.
So how can we actually apply this to our daily lives?
Yeah.
I mean, this is all very interesting and conceptual, but like, how do we take this idea of detachment and actually use it to manifest things in our lives?
Well, the good news is that this principle applies to all areas of life.
Okay.
It's not just about manifesting material things.
Okay.
It could be career goals, relationships, personal growth, anything.
So give us an example. Like, how would you use this in, say, a relationship context?
Sure. So let's say you're looking for a partner.
Okay.
Instead of obsessing over finding the perfect person and constantly swiping on dating apps, you could focus on becoming the best version of yourself.
Okay.
Enjoying your own company, pursuing your passions, and trusting that the right person will come along when the time is right.
Interesting. So you're not giving up on finding a partner.
No, not at all.
You're just not making it your entire focus and the be-all, end-all.
Exactly. You're shifting your focus from a place of need to a place of allowing. You're still open to love, but you're not desperate for it.
Okay, so how do we know then if we're truly in that Sabbath state of healthy detachment, or if we've just kind of given up and they're like, whatever?
That is the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And it's a subtle difference, but it's a crucial one.
Okay.
I think the key distinction lies in the energy behind it.
Okay.
Detachment is about trust and alignment, not apathy or indifference.
Yeah.
You still care about the outcome. You're still invested in the process.
Yeah.
But you're not consumed by it.
Okay.
You're not letting it run your life.
It's like that idea of like letting go of the how.
Yes. Exactly.
Like, I still want this thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to micromanage the universe on how to deliver it to me.
Exactly.
I'm just going to trust that it knows what it's doing.
Absolutely. And that's a powerful place to be.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that state of trust, you're open to receiving in ways you could never have imagined.
Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. I feel like we've really uncovered some interesting stuff about this whole idea of detachment. So if we were to sum up the key takeaway for our listeners, what would it be?
I would say this letting go of the desperate need for something doesn't mean you don't want it anymore. It might actually mean you're closer than you think.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
The magic often happens when we surrender, not when we force.
Yes, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
What if the key to manifestation lies in the letting go?
That's a powerful thought for everyone to ponder and to kind of sit with for a little bit. As always, we will link to all the source material in the show notes so you can explore this topic further if you're interested. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep manifesting, and keep trusting the process.
Absolutely.